Before the stars were mapped and the Earth's secrets were named, there was a man who dared to question the gods themselves. A mind born in storms, forged in loss, and destined to ignite the dawn of reason. You've heard of Thales, the man who found truth in water. But today, we unveil the disciple who defied both heaven and myth, the philosopher who first touched the boundless unknown. His name was Anaximander. In the shadowed dawn of 610 BC, under a stormy sky over the bustling port of Miletus in Ionia, now the sun-baked coasts of Turkey, a cry pierced the air. A boy was born to Praxeades, a humble merchant whose ships danced with the Aegean winds, and his wife Eurybia, a weaver of tales from the old gods. They named him Anaximander, master of men, little knowing he'd challenge the very heavens. Miletus thrummed with life, traders bartering spices from distant lands, fishermen hauling nets teeming with silver scales, and priests chanting hymns to Zeus amid marble temples. But whispers of change stirred. The old myths, gods hurling thunderbolts, titans shaping the earth, were cracking like dried clay. Thales, the wise elder with eyes like polished obsidian, roamed the markets, pondering water as the essence of all. Young Anaximander, with his mop of wild curls and insatiable gaze, trailed him like a shadow. One fateful night, at age 10, a ferocious gale sank his father's fleet. Praxeades vanished into the depths, leaving Eurybia broken, weaving shrouds instead of dreams. Anaximander, orphaned in spirit, sought solace in the stars. He climbed the Acropolis ruins, heart pounding, as lightning forked the sky. "Not God's wrath," he murmured, suspense building in his chest like a coiled serpent, "but nature's fury, boundless, eternal." Thales took him in, igniting a fire. By his teens, Anaximander mapped the seas, sketched the cosmos on papyrus stolen from scribes. He debated sailors under olive groves, his voice rising with passion. What if the world isn't held by Atlas? What if it's free, infinite? Rumors spread. Blasphemy? Genius. Crowds gathered, breath held, as he unveiled ideas that shattered chains of myth. Yet danger lurked. Priests eyed him warily, jealous of his pull on the youth. One eclipse eve, as shadows swallowed the sun, Anaximander stood defiant, predicting its return through reason alone. The crowd gasped. Miracle or madness? His life teetered on revelation's edge, a man born to unravel the universe's secrets, forever chasing the boundless unknown. In the flickering torchlight of Miletus's agora, where merchants haggled over olive jars and philosophers whispered secrets of the stars, young Anaximander's heart raced like a hunted deer. At 18, orphaned and adrift after his father's shipwreck, he stumbled upon Thales, the enigmatic sage whose eyes held the depths of the sea. Thales, the first to declare water as the world's womb, not some capricious god's whim, spotted the boy's fire. "Come," he beckoned one stormy eve, as thunder cracked like divine fury. "Unravel the myths with me." Anaximander became his shadow, trailing through moonlit observatories, where Thales measured eclipses with a gnomon shadow. But suspense mounted. Rivals sneered, calling Thales a madman for ditching Olympus's tales. One night, during a heated debate under cypress trees, a priest accused them of heresy. Anaximander's pulse thundered. Would guards drag them away? Defiant, he defended Thales, his voice steady. "Nature speaks truth, not thunder gods." Years blurred in feverish study. Thales, aging like weathered stone, named him successor on his deathbed, whispering, "The boundless awaits." Grief-stricken yet ignited, Anaximander forged ahead, drawing a wide-eyed youth named Anaximenes into his fold. Together in hidden groves, they birthed the Milesian school. 3 minds united against myth's chains. Anaximenes, once a skeptical fisherman, absorbed lessons on air as the essence, natural cycles replacing godly whims. Whispers spread, a lineage of rebels, probing the universe's veins. Dangers lurked, exile threats, poisoned rumors, but their ideas exploded like dawn, birthing philosophy's flame. Anaximander, bridge between master and pupil, stood eternal, his legacy a suspenseful saga of human daring against the infinite unknown. In the dim glow of oil lamps flickering like hesitant stars, Anaximander hunched over a weathered scroll in his Miletus chamber, quill scratching against papyrus as if carving destiny itself. It was 570 BC, and the air hummed with peril. Priests prowled the streets, branding free thinkers as threats to the gods. His heart pounded. One wrong word could mean exile or worse. But the boundless called, urging him to pen On Nature, the first prose tome in Western thought, ditching poetic myths for raw reason. Orphaned young, Anaximander had clawed from grief's abyss, mentored by Thales in hidden alcoves where they dissected eclipses and storms. Now, at 40, he poured his soul into this work. The Epeiron as origin, worlds birthing and dying in eternal cycles. Suspense built with each line. Would spies discover his heresy? One midnight raid nearly did. Guards burst in, seizing scrolls, but he hid the master copy beneath floorboards, sweat beading as boots thumped overhead. The book spread in whispers, copied by daring scribes, igniting minds across Ionia. Yet fate twisted cruelly. Wars ravaged libraries, flames devouring pages, until only fragments clung to life. Like his haunting words on cosmic justice, the first surviving lines of philosophy, echoing, "From which things have their origin, there their destruction happens." Anaximander's legacy? A thunderbolt. He bridged myth and science, inspiring Aristotle's tomes, Darwin's evolutions. In his final years, blind but unbowed, he dictated revisions to Anaximenes amid olive groves, voice trembling with triumph. Crowds gathered secretly, breath held, as his ideas unfurled like forbidden wings. But death came in 546 BC, a quiet eclipse, leaving echoes that reshaped humanity's gaze at the infinite. His words? Immortal fragments, teasing the void, forever suspenseful in their incomplete allure. In the sweltering heat of Miletus's marketplace, where the scent of salted fish mingled with the clamor of traders, Anaximander's mind churned like a storm-tossed sea. It was 565 BC, and at 45, the philosopher paced his modest home, shadows dancing from a single lamp. Haunted by his mentor, Thales' deathbed words, "Water births all, but what births water?" He grappled with a void that myths couldn't fill. Priests preached God's whims, but Anaximander, scarred by his father's drowning and endless night stargazing, sensed something deeper, infinite. Suspense gripped him one fateful dusk. A rival sophist, jealous of his growing influence, challenged him publicly. "Prove your madness, or be branded a fool." Heart-hammering, Anaximander ascended the Acropolis steps, crowd murmuring like gathering thunder. Winds whipped his robes as he unveiled the Epeiron, the boundless, eternal essence beyond water, air, or any element. "From this infinite arch," he declared, voice steady amid gasps, "opposites emerge, hot from cold, wet from dry. Worlds rise and fall in cosmic justice, not divine caprice." Danger loomed. Whispers of blasphemy rippled through the throng. Would stones fly? A priest lunged forward, face twisted, but a sudden eclipse darkened the sky, freezing all in awe. Anaximander pointed upward. "See? The boundless governs even the heavens!" The crowd erupted, some in fear, others in wonder. That night, alone with his scrolls, he etched the idea, forever shifting humanity's gaze from gods to the eternal unknown. The Epeiron wasn't just theory. It was his rebellion, his lifeline against finitude's grip. In the blistering midday sun of Miletus, where the Aegean waves crashed like accusing whispers, Anaximander, now 50, and etched with the lines of relentless inquiry, stared into the void of his mind. The Epeiron, his boundless revelation, haunted him like a lover's ghost. Widowed after a plague, stole his beloved Calliope, who died clutching their stillborn child. He wandered the cliffs, grief twisting into cosmic fury. "Why this endless cycle?" he muttered, fists clenched as gulls screamed overhead. One fateful symposium, amid wine-soaked nobles and skeptical scholars, suspense thickened like gathering storm clouds. A fiery rhetorician, envious of Anaximander's sway, sneered, "Your infinite nonsense mocks the gods. Prove it, or face the assembly's wrath." Heart slamming, Anaximander rose, robes billowing in the wind. "From the Aperon," he boomed, voice cracking with passion. "Opposites tear free. Hot devours cold, wet battles dry, birthing our world in eternal strife." The crowd leaned in, breath held. He painted visions, volcanoes spewing fire from icy depths, floods receding to barren lands, creation and destruction in a dance of cosmic justice. "As empires rise and crumble," he urged, eyes ablaze, "so does the universe repay imbalance, not by vengeful Zeus, but inexorable law." Danger peaked. A temple guard advanced, sword glinting, accusations of impiety flying. Would this be his end? But a sudden quake rattled the ground, stones tumbling, silencing all. Anaximander pointed. "See? The cycle turns." Awe rippled through them. Some knelt, others fled. That night, alone by candlelight, he wept for Calliope, seeing her loss in the opposites' war, life's fragile balance. His ideas spread like wildfire, challenging fates, forever binding human sorrow to the stars' relentless wheel. In the velvet shroud of a moonless night in Miletus, where the constellations wheeled like silent conspirators, Anaximander, now 55, and bent by the weight of endless questions, climbed the rugged hills overlooking the sea. His wife's grave lay below, a stark reminder of mortality. Calliope, taken by fever 2 years prior, leaving him adrift in a sea of solitude. Whispers of exile haunted him. Priests branded his Epeiron heresy, threatening flames for defying the gods' finite realm. Heart pounding like war drums, he gazed upward, the infinite expanse mocking earthly bounds. A comet streaked across the sky. A portent, or mere cosmic whim. Suspense clawed at him. What if his vision sparked riots? Earlier that day, in the agora's heated fray, a zealot had lunged, dagger glinting, shouting, "Your boundless madness insults Olympus!" Anaximander dodged, voice booming, "No! The universe is eternal, worlds birthing from the void, perishing in cycles, not cradled by gods, but free in infinite multiplicity." The crowd froze, breaths held as stars seemed to multiply in defiance. Guards hesitated. A sudden meteor shower lit the night, validating his words in fiery script. Triumphant yet terrified, he fled to his scrolls, etching the idea. Universes rising and falling like empires, rejecting divine centers for boundless truth. His legacy? A daring rebellion that echoed through ages, inspiring Copernicus's revolutions, forever teasing humanity with the thrill of endless worlds beyond our grasp. In the crimson haze of a Miletus sunset, where the Aegean horizon blurred into eternity, Anaximander, now 60, and weathered like ancient olive bark, stood atop the windswept Acropolis. His hands trembled, not from age, but the ghost of battles past. Years ago, after burying his son in a fevered grave, the philosopher had vowed to pierce the veil of loss, seeking answers in the stars that mocked his pain. Myths whispered of Earth perched on Atlas's shoulders, or floating on endless waters, but Anaximander's soul rebelled. "No chains," he breathed, eyes fierce. Suspense coiled like a serpent one fateful assembly eve. Whispers of revolt stirred, Persian spies lurked, and priests rallied the faithful against the boundless blasphemer. His heart thundered as he faced the throng in the torchlit forum, rivals jeering, "Fool, how stands our world without divine pillars?" Guards gripped spears, ready to silence heresy. Anaximander paused, sweat slicking his brow. The crowd's breath held, a storm about to break. Then, with a voice like cracking thunder, he unveiled it. Earth, a squat cylinder with flat crown, adrift at the universe's heart. No props, no waters, suspended by symmetry's grace, equidistant from all, unmoving in infinite balance. Gasps erupted. A priest lunged, accusing sorcery. Would blades fly? Chaos peaked as an earthquake rumbled, Earth itself seeming to affirm his words. The mob parted in awe, some weeping, others fleeing. That night, alone with his scrolls, Anaximander wept for his lost family, seeing their fragility in this free-floating world. His radical vision shattered myths, birthing science's dawn, echoing through Copernicus and beyond. A man's defiant cry against the cosmos's indifferent embrace. In the chill grip of a Miletus winter night, where frost clung to olive branches like forgotten prayers, Anaximander, now 62 and hollowed by the ache of lost kin, his daughter claimed by a savage storm at sea, gazed skyward from his rooftop perch. The heavens mocked him, stars twinkling as if whispering secrets of the infinite. Sleepless, haunted by visions born from grief, he sketched fiery wheels on cracked clay tablets. The sun, moon, and stars, not God's chariots, but rings of flame shrouded in ethereal mist, peeking through vents like a blacksmith's forge. Suspense thickened one eclipse dawn. Whispers of his madness had reached the high priest, who summoned him to the temple square at peril of stoning. Heart racing, palms slick, Anaximander faced the jeering mob, torches flickering like accusatory eyes. "Behold!" he cried, voice quavering yet defiant. "Celestial bodies whirl around our floating earth, suns wheel vast, moons nearer, stars pinpricks in the void. Eclipses, no divine wrath, but alignments blocking fiery apertures, phases waxing as vents open and close." The crowd hushed, breaths suspended as the sky darkened unnaturally. Panic surged, screams of apocalypse. A rival priest advanced, dagger drawn. "Blasphemer!" But as the sun re-emerged, bathing all in golden proof, gasps turned to awe. Anaximander stood unbroken, his theory a lifeline through sorrow's dark. That revelation, born of personal abyss, forever lit humanity's path, unraveling celestial mysteries with mortal daring. In the golden haze of a Miletus dawn, where the first rays pierced the mist like divine arrows, Anaximander, now 64 and frail yet fierce, leaned on his staff atop the harbor cliffs. His body bore scars from a lifetime of tempests, literal and metaphorical. Just months prior, a vicious riot had erupted when zealots torched his scrolls, branding him a heretic for dethroning the gods. Bruised and bloodied, he had escaped into the night, vowing revenge through revelation. "Time itself will be my weapon," he growled, eyes fixed on the horizon. Suspense mounted as the solstice approached. The city elders, desperate for accurate calendars amid failing crops, summoned him to the assembly. Success meant glory, failure, banishment. Heart thundering like a war chariot, Anaximander unveiled his gnomon, a simple rod, imported from Babylonian whispers during his youthful travels, now thrust into Greek soil. "Watch!" he commanded, voice cracking with urgency. As shadows crept across marked stones, it measured hours, seasons, predicting equinoxes with eerie precision, no longer slaves to mythical whims. But the true thrill came under starlit skies, facing sneers. "The heavens are fixed." He argued celestial bodies orbited Earth, wheels of fire spinning in cosmic rhythm. A rival astronomer lunged, accusing madness. The crowd held its breath as a shooting star blazed overhead, seeming to affirm his words. Chaos erupted, cheers clashing with curses. Anaximander stood unyielding, his innovation a lifeline from personal abyss. Orphaned, widowed, childless, he found order in the stars' dance. His gnomon birthed time's mastery, orbiting ideas foreshadowing heliocentrism, forever hooking humanity on the suspense of discovery's edge. In the salty tang of Miletus's harbor, where ships groaned under cargoes from distant shores, Anaximander, now 65, and scarred by the relentless march of time, his last surviving friend, felled by a Persian raid, unfurled a tattered hide in his dimly lit workshop. Ink-stained fingers traced lines born from sailors' yarns and his own daring voyages as a youth, dodging pirates on the Black Sea. "The world isn't chaos," he whispered, eyes alight with defiance against the gods' mapped whims. Suspense brewed like a gathering squall. Whispers of his godless cosmology had ignited fury. A secret cabal of cartographers, envious of his innovations, plotted to steal his work. One moonless night, intruders slipped in, daggers drawn, heart slamming. Anaximander awoke to shadows, clutching his scroll like a lifeline. A desperate scuffle ensued. He fended them off with a gnomon's rod, blood trickling from a gash. "You'll not bury truth," he roared. Dawn broke as he revealed it publicly in the agora. Earth as a vast disk, encircled by the endless oceanus, continents etched with rivers snaking like veins. No mythical edges, no divine boundaries, just reasoned expanse, inspiring Hecataeus' refinements. The crowd gasped, breath suspended. Priests decried blasphemy, but merchants cheered, visions of trade routes igniting. Anaximander stood tall, his map a rebellion against ignorance, forever charting humanity's bold stride into the unknown horizons. In the thunderous roar of a raging Miletus tempest, where lightning scarred the sky like vengeful claws, Anaximander, now 66 and stooped under the burden of ceaseless loss, his grandson swept away in a flash flood just moons ago, defied the howling gale from his cliffside hut. Rain lashed his face, mingling with tears for the family the gods seemed to curse, but he rejected such folly. "No immortal's ire," he snarled to the void, his voice lost in the wind's fury. Nature's secrets, not divine tantrums, held the key. Suspense peaked as the storm climaxed. Villagers huddled in the temple, priests chanting to appease Zeus, but Anaximander burst in, drenched and wild-eyed, interrupting their rites. "Fools!" he bellowed, heart pounding like the drums of war. Guards tensed, spears gleaming. Blasphemy could mean death. The crowd froze, breaths suspended amid crashing thunder. "Hear me! Thunder births from winds clashing in the heavens, not godly hammers. Lightning, clouds bursting with pent-up fire, sparks flying free. Earthquakes! Our world cracks from drought's grip, not Poseidon's stomp." A bolt struck nearby, shaking the stones. Screams erupted. Omen or proof? The high priest advanced, face twisted in rage. "Silence this madman!" But as the quake subsided without divine wrath, murmurs turned to wonder. Anaximander stood unbroken, his explanations a shield against fear's grip. That night, by flickering hearth, he mourned his kin, seeing their fates in nature's impartial cycles. Winds, clouds, earth all in balance, no mercy from above. His bold truths shattered myths, seeding science's roots, forever captivating minds with the thrill of reason over reverence. In the stifling haze of a Miletus summer, where the sun baked the earth like a potter's kiln, Anaximander, now 68, and ravaged by the ghosts of his shattered lineage, his entire family claimed by sea, fever, and flood, waded into the primordial shallows of the bay. Mud squelched between his toes, warm and alive, stirring memories of his drowned grandson's final gurgling breath. "From this muck," he whispered, heart clenching like a fist, "comes everything." No god's breath, no divine spark, just nature's heated womb. Suspense gripped him as dusk fell. Rumors swirled. The oracle at Delphi had condemned his ideas as abomination, dispatching assassins veiled as pilgrims. Alone on the shore, waves lapping like secrets, he pondered life's dawn. A sudden rustle. Footsteps? His pulse raced. A shadow emerged from the reeds, dagger glinting in moonlight. "Heretic!" the intruder snarled, lunging. Anaximander dodged, grabbing a sun-warmed stone, cracking it against the assailant's skull. Panting, victorious, he collapsed into the mud, visions flooding, primordial seas bubbling under eternal sun, first creatures wriggling from watery slime, fish, beasts, even humans evolving from aquatic kin. That night, by firelight in his hut, he etched the theory. Life sparked in moist depths, heated by solar fire, emerging step by Darwinian step. His words, born of personal abyss, challenged eternity, forever hooking humanity on the suspense of our watery origins. In the murky twilight of Miletus's tidal pools, where the sea whispered ancient secrets to the shore, Anaximander now 70, and a spectral figure haunted by an unrelenting parade of graves. His wife, children, grandson, all swallowed by fate's cruel maw, dipped his gnarled fingers into the slime. A fresh wound throbbed. His faithful pupil, Anaximenes, struck down by a mysterious ailment, perhaps poisoned by envious scholars. "From water we came," Anaximander murmured, voice ragged, eyes scanning the wriggling forms in the mud. Life's raw cradle. Suspense mounted like a tidal wave as night deepened. Whispers of his radical whispers had reached Athens. A bounty hunter, cloaked in shadows, tracked him for corrupting youth with beastly origins. Heart slamming against ribs, Anaximander fled to a hidden cove, pursuer's footsteps echoing like doom. Cornered against crashing waves, he turned, facing the blade. "Kill me, but truth endures." The assassin hesitated, mesmerized as Anaximander unveiled his vision. Animals adapting through eons, sea creatures crawling ashore, fins morphing to limbs in nature's forge. Humans, born from fish-like forebears, encased in protective husks, for our infant's fragility screamed impossibility without prior nurturing shells. "We evolved," he declared, "from watery kin, helpless babes proving ancient guardianship." Lightning flashed, illuminating the hunter's awe-struck face. He sheathed his weapon, vanishing into the storm. Anaximander collapsed, weeping for his lost ones, seeing humanity's fragile ascent in their tragedies. His proto-evolutionary spark, defying gods, ignited Darwin's flame centuries later, forever ensnaring minds in the suspense of our finned origins. In the briny depths of Miletus's forgotten coves, where the sea churned secrets older than time, Anaximander, now 72, and a gaunt spectre etched by unrelenting tragedy, his final kin. A beloved niece, devoured by sharks during a fateful voyage, plunged his hands into the foaming tide. Blood from a fresh gash mingled with salt water. Earlier that day, fleeing a mob incited by priests who deemed his origins heresy, he had scraped against jagged rocks. "From the waters we rose!" he gasped, chest heaving, the theory crystallizing like a pearl in his tormented mind. Suspense gripped the night as torches flickered on the cliffs above. Hunters closing in, baying for the fish-man philosopher, whose words unraveled divine creation. Heart thundering like Poseidon's wrath, Anaximander hid in a cave, waves crashing like accusations. Visions assaulted him. Human infants, so helpless, unable to fend without aid. How could they survive primeval wilds? No. Ancestors must have gestated inside fish or shark-like beasts, armored wombs shielding fragile forms until ready to emerge, adapting to land's harsh embrace. "We were born protected," he whispered, "evolving from aquatic kin, shedding scales for skin in nature's grand forge." A shadow loomed, the lead inquisitor, sword raised. "Recant, or join your cursed family in the deep." Anaximander stood, eyes blazing defiance. Lightning split the sky, illuminating wriggling eels in the shallows. Living proof. The assailant faltered, thunder rumbling as if the cosmos concurred. Escaping into dawn, Anaximander etched his anthropology, humanity's watery cradle, an early evolutionary whisper predating Darwin by millennia. His life, a tapestry of loss, wove this truth, forever captivating souls with the suspense of our finned genesis. In the fading embers of a Miletus hearth, where the scent of olive wood smoke curled like forgotten prophecies, Anaximander, now 74, and a frail vessel of boundless dreams, clutched his final scroll with trembling hands. His life, a brutal odyssey of shipwrecks claiming his father, plague stealing his wife and children, assassin's blades grazing his flesh, had forged him into philosophy's unyielding forge. Exiled whispers pursued him. Persian conquerors loomed, threatening to silence Ionia's last rational voice. "One more revelation," he rasped, eyes darting to shadows, heart a drumbeat of defiance. Suspense crested that fateful winter solstice. Gathered in a clandestine olive grove, disciples like young Pythagoras huddled close, torches sputtering against the wind. Priest spies encircled, nooses ready for the myth slayer. Anaximander unveiled his legacy, a bridge from godly tales to reason's dawn. A Pyrrhon birthing worlds, life evolving from seas, humans shedding fishy skins. "This isn't end," he thundered, voice cracking as arrows whistled near. "It's Genesis." A sudden gale extinguished flames, chaos erupted, fights in the dark, escapes through thorns. Anaximander vanished into legend, his ideas smuggled like contraband fire. They ignited Aristotle's soul, who wove them into biology's tapestry, cosmology's stars. Centuries echoed, Darwin's finches tracing Anaximander's aquatic ancestors, Einstein's infinities nodding to the boundless. He shattered mythology's chains, birthing science's thrill, rational inquiry's eternal chase. In death's quiet eclipse of 546 BC, his unmarked grave whispered suspense. What worlds might rise from one man's daring? His impact? A cosmic ripple, forever hooking humanity on reason's seductive edge. And so, the man who dared to challenge the gods vanished into the shadows of history, leaving behind fragments that still whisper through time. Some say he died in exile. Others believe he simply walked beyond the horizon, chasing the boundless one last time. But one truth remains. His ideas didn't die. They evolved. Every time we question, explore, or look to the stars, Anaximander lives again. Tell me, if one man's questions could reshape the world, then what kind of mind came next? Because the next story hides a secret even greater than infinity. The series continues, and the next revelation will change everything. Stay tuned for the next episode of Who Was He? Like, share, and subscribe if you dare to walk deeper into history's most dangerous minds.